Welcome to A Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm Sarah Masoni from Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center, where I've helped countless dreamers launch their new food products. It's the science of taking a food delight from the kitchen to mass manufacturing and still keeping its great taste. That's what I do. I've been called the woman with the $1 million palate, although I haven't tried to cash that check yet. Listen in weekly for real-life stories.
I'm Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Haute Sauce and author of Preservation Pantry, modern canning from root to top and stem to core. I love inspiring business owners to get started on their journey, encourage folks to be part of their local community, and I'm excited to help business owners tell their stories. Hello and welcome to the Meaningful Marketplace. We are here weekly to discuss the journeys of food entrepreneurs. We are glad you've joined us today as we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. This is Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Haute Sauce.
And Sarah Masoni of Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center. Hi, Sarah Marshall.
Hi, Sarah. So this is one of my favorite pre-weeks where we're getting ready to go to the fancy food show.
Yes.
So we're headed there to go to Vegas. And can you tell me the great people you're bringing along with you?
Well, there's actually 12 companies coming with the Food Innovation Center, and then there's 11 with the Regional Food Business Center and another 5 that are going to be in the Startup Pavilion. So I think you have 28. It's a really big list, and I'm not sure I want to read them all off. What do you think? Should we do it?
Why don't we just say who's coming for the Food Innovation Center?
Okay, Food Innovation Center. We got Ellie Pop, an organic fruit-based freezer pop with herbal tea and electrolytes for small children. We have Chili Royale that specializes in small batch chili crisp. Portland Bitters Project creates handcrafted bitters using organic botanicals. Tanglewood Beverage Company, they have small batch chai concentrates. Sanoy, we know them. They have the small batch chili oils and sauces with Southeast Asian flavors. Dry Canyon Salt Company, making sea salts from Pacific Northwest salt and wines. Drink West Water Kefir with probiotic drinks. I think she's going to be releasing some shelf-stable products at the show. Bougie Brown Butter with Lisa Herlinger, a new product release. She's the gal who started ice cream sandwiches, Ruby Joe ice cream sandwiches. A new product from Toby is Spritz King. It's for all those barbecue guys out there smoking and barbecuing, want to create the best crust on their meat. And then we have Spielman Coffee and Bagels. I think they're bringing their bagel chips. Ochoa's Creamery with their award-winning Hispanic cheeses. And then Spellcraft PDX, which produces handcrafted herbal tinctures and elixirs to support health and well-being.
So fun. And I will get the list of you from the other people that are coming with the Regional Food Business Center, and we'll make sure to tag all of them. But also,
I bet I read it off a little bit later in the show, so it's not so overwhelming.
that sounds good. Whenever you feel like it, you can do it. But I just wanted to say that people can follow along too. Sarah and I always try to post things while we're there and take pictures with the people that are in the food corridor area so that everybody can find them and follow along. It's kind of my favorite part. And I made sure to tag all the different activities that are happening. So I'll be posting when they're doing all their different pitches and things like that when we're there at the food show. So I'm very excited about it. How are you feeling, Sarah?
Well, it's a lot because we have this new area called the Spark Experience. So we'll have the majority of our folks that are coming with the Regional Food Business Center and the FIC are going to be doing 3-minute pitches in a special stage. And then they'll have their products there for sampling as well.
Sounds good. Well, you'll be able to see more about the Spark Experience because I will do some Instagram Live when we're there.
Okay.
Well, we've been partnering with the Regional Food Business Center to bring you guests from our 6-state region. We're currently meeting with business owners from our great state of Oregon. I would like to introduce you to our co-host, Danita Macy from Oregon State University. Danita is the program coordinator of OSU Extension Services. Danita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Bonjour, I'm Danita Macy. I'm the SNAP-Ed Family and Community Health Program Coordinator for Oregon State University, and then I work statewide with our 9 tribes in food preservation here in Oregon.
Well, Danita, our last show that we did with you was one of my favorite. I'm so excited about all the people that you are introducing us to and that we're talking with. And you're such a wonderful host and guide to the community. And I would like if you would talk about any of the workshops or gatherings that you have hosted or that people can look out for, because I know you do a lot of really cool stuff.
Well, thank you very much.
Hmm.
So, a lot of the things that we do are a lot of food preservation classes. And then in working with the tribes, we do a lot of traditional foods. And usually folks will sign up to come to a class and then we'll work with them there. We also, through several of our food sovereignty coalitions and partnership with Indian Health Board, we do a yearly gathering supporting people from Oregon, Washington, and Idaho tribes that are supporting their food sovereignty efforts and initiatives, either on reservation or in urban settings like here in Portland. And then just a lot of work, really a lot of work in community. And I work a lot with youth. Right now, we're working with the Siletz Tribal Youth Program. They are very interested in how food and nutrition may help them, or also one of the group is interested in creating non-dairy foods for Indigenous people. So I'm excited to connect them to the Regional Food Business Center and see what kind of cool things they can come up with because they had a few pretty cool ideas. So I was really proud of them. Smart kids, lots of energy.
Good.
We would like to encourage you to connect with your state by signing up for the Regional Food Business Center newsletter. It's a breeze to sign up. Just go to Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center.com, hit connect with us, and choose the button to receive newsletters. And we want to thank our sponsor for supporting Meaningful Marketplace. Thank you for helping us spread the word about small business owners and entrepreneurs. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. The Northwest and Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center is the proud sponsor of the Meaningful Marketplace podcast, giving a voice to food from across the 6-state region of Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. The Food Business Center supports Northwest and Rocky Mountain food industry makers as part of the USDA's National Network of Food Business Centers, supporting a more resilient, diverse, and competitive food system as a go-to source for small and mid-tier food and farm businesses with a focus on underserved communities, providing education in the form of technical knowledge, business programs, and industry news. We sponsor trade shows, meetups, and conferences to connect growers, producers, retailers, distributors, and processors, all to stimulate business and raise the standards of our storied food industry. Join us as we travel through the 6-state region, learning more about food makers, food hubs, and food systems. Visit the website at Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Businesses.com to get connected. And Danita, would you like to bring on our guest today?
Very much so. This is Theo Zamora. He's from the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. Theo, I'm going to let you introduce yourself however you choose to introduce yourself in a good way.
Awesome. Nice to meet you guys. I am Theo Perez Zamora from the Confederated Tribes of Warm Springs. I'm a tribal member down here and children's author and recently got into the whole coffee business. Thank you guys for having me today.
We're so glad you could join us. And we always like to connect our listeners, in the social media world. So how can people find you online and on social media?
Actually, I have a Facebook page and it's TH30 and it's under like Theo Let's Talk, mostly because I engage in a lot of, talking with other people and people who kind of walk the same path of, trying to do good in their community and help out where they're needed. And then I also have, TheoPerezCreations.net where you could purchase, shoes, coffee, some of my children's books or coloring books I made. So
Very cool.
Did you say shoes?
yeah, I got into designing shoes recently. They took off a lot faster than I thought they would. So I do tribal designs and I kind of, if I think it, I put it onto a canvas and we turn it into merchandise and raise funding for the, the schools and stuff. our local.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's one of the key pieces that I really noticed about your business, Theo, is that each thing that you sell, you pick something that is donated back into a community in some way. So when you sell the shoes, you donate to the closet and you pick different organizations to donate to. Can you explain how you choose who you donate to and kind of the motivation behind that?
The original one was from my son, little Theo. He's 11 years old. At the time, he was 10. And so, we got into the whole children's book is where it all started. It's named after his Atswai grandma, Celestine. Atswai in our language means deceased, no longer here. We put it together so, when they were younger, she would read these bedtime stories to them. And, we joke around. She's like, one day we should do our own children's book, something maybe about Warm Springs or stuff. And I was like, we should. So afterwards, we got into it and I just did it. I went around, me and him drove around, and we'd illustrate the schools, the longhouses, everything we seen. A lot of people don't know this, and I've actually never told anybody this, but when I originally wrote Celeste Goes to Warm Springs, it was a little bit too, I guess, adulty. So I had my son translate it. So, I mean, if you read the book, it almost looks like a kid wrote it. And then when we got to the funding, my initial thing was, it'd be cool is if I put a percentage of that funding into the kids. So that way it's almost like their grandma's still spoiling them, and, still have them like a heirloom we could pass through the family. And the initial one was like, would like to donate into the schools were the kids. So I was like, there's other kids, not all of us had the best childhoods. So I was like, there are kids who are in need of shoes. There are kids that if we could find, if the parents reported to me, or if there's a sports team that's struggling, I know I can't just write a grant or something like that. And so I was like, it'd be cool if we actually just started donating the proceeds into it. And so it kind of started this kind of fire in us to keep doing it. And then when I developed Theo's Longhouse Strong Coffee, it was simply just me trying to put a grant into the Longhouse, and I wasn't able to find one. And so I looked around the Longhouse, and the one thing I kept seeing was those big old pictures of coffee. And it was something that kind of connected all of us. So I was like, it sounds crazy, but I was like, I should try and develop my own coffee, the Longhouse coffee. And when I say Theo's Longhouse Strong Coffee, a lot of people think it's very powerful coffee. It was more meant to be like in the essence of Longhouse Strong, like our people, So it was, it came full circle, and now we use it to put the proceeds into our feast. I got to host one of our first feasts. They need food cards, we get food cards. They need silverware. There's events going on in the Longhouse that bring our people together. I'm able to donate the proceeds into that. And though I originally pledged 10% from both sales, it's actually been around 85%, because there's a lot that needs to be done. And as long as there's stuff that needs to be done in the community, we're going to be there getting it done.
Great.
Thank you, Theo. We had to move over here about 10 years ago now to help out with my mom and such. And I miss home all the time. And so I love that you support in the way that you do.
It means the world. It really does. It's growing up, a lot of us, we had that kind of scatter a bit. So being able to give back and kind of become the person I needed as a youth, like, really was just a beautiful thing. And from the first time we walked up and we donated to a youth in the schools or something, somebody who needed something that they weren't able to get, and just seeing like the gratitude on their face, it became addicting almost. So we were like, this is what we're meant to do. It makes us happy, more happy than money would make us feel.
And then it connects you back to your
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Connects us back to our grandma and community. And, one random act of kindness could spark another random act of kindness. And eventually, who knows where that could lead.
I love that. I was thinking when you were talking about all those big, huge pictures of coffee, I think the biggest cup of coffee I ever see is, Rosanna Sanders,
Yes.
big. Have you seen her coffee mugs? They're always full. She's
Yeah.
got massive amounts of coffee. I love that. You will always see us with a mug somewhere, and what's in it is coffee.
And can you tell us the story of how coffee is important culturally for your community?
Outside of the fact that it wakes us up, it's kind of just like the let's get it done kind of energy, It's the Longhouse itself is a spiritual place for us. I can't say too much because we're not allowed to, out of respect for our tribes, but what I am allowed to say is that, the coffee in essence, just gives us the energy to get up and get it done. Sometimes we're in the Longhouses really, really late. Sometimes we're in there really early in the morning, depending on what the event is. So having the cup of coffee there was almost essential to keep us going. We could be in there hours at a time, anywhere from like 5 to 6 hours, some longer, over to the new Indian New Year. Who knows?
What have some of the challenges been for you in creating the Longhouse coffee blends and the brand?
Funding in itself was a bit tricky. Finding a way to represent our tribe for like something that I felt like spoke to us was huge. On the newer packaging, you'll see, or even on my jacket, I actually have my jacket on me. I'm not sure if you guys could see, but we have the 3 beans in there that are being roasted. And it's significant to me. For those who are tribal members, they'll see it's the grandfather rocks. And so it was just designing stuff that felt like home to me, or like felt like warm springs. I have these things right now. We're working with Moppin, and my hope is to scale this project eventually so big that the nearest longhouse would be where the coffee proceeds go to. So say my coffee starts being sold in Yakima. Well, then if the Yakima has longhouses that needs repairs and they also can't find grants, this gives them an avenue or a way to take the proceeds from that and start putting it into their longhouses. And eventually it's us kind of Native Americans, we kind of have this web of network we've kept over the years. And it helps us to continue that, I think.
Can you tell us how you decided which types of beans you were going to roast?
For me, it was a little bit less traditional and more of just my preference and taste. You never know if something's going to take off. I never know if the community's going to like it. So I was like, I need to be able to sell something that I believe in. So we just go through the beast, and they have Colombian beans, and then how does it roasted? For me, I like the traditional dark black roast, and then we need to develop something that tasted good as a medium roast and a light, something that's kind of crisp and, light and give you that kick. And so it was all done strictly by taste. Each has this different kind of like depth to it, is really what I call it. If you go in there like going for a taste, you won't really notice it to me, but for me, it's like the depth of each kind of copy. It has a different depth to it. The best way I can describe it.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I'd love you to talk about your books.
Oregon State University's College of Agricultural Sciences and the Food Innovation Center are proud sponsors of Meaningful Marketplace. With a mission to serve all Oregonians, we are committed to giving voice to those whose food and agricultural stories are not always heard. By providing access and opportunity for a more diverse and just food system, because food brings people together.
All right, coming back from break, I'm interested too. Let's hear all about the books you have published.
So yeah, Celeste Goes to Warm Springs was the first one, obviously. In the book itself, it's based off Celeste is obviously their grandma Celeste. But the kids that are along with them, with me obviously being Papa Theo, represent her kids and grandkids. So there's Cece, there's Jocelyn, there's Theo, and then there's Celeste going along them with the trips. And then there's me, Papa Theo, from a sentimental value, being the author and the parent that's kind of taking them around. Like, let's go see this. Let's go to the museum. And let's go to the school. And Madras has that tribal homeroom in there. So let's go there and check this out. And it was always based on being able to continue that, So at the end of the book, that's why I'm like, what will we do tomorrow? And it's intentionally leading into either another reservation we can explore a door of opportunity, really. Maybe we go to more Warm Springs locations and businesses if we're able to get the permissions to.
And for our listeners who aren't from Oregon, can you tell people where Warm Springs is?
The best way I could describe it and how I describe it to people would be it's right in between when you head through Madras or on your way from Redmond to Portland. You'll hit that patch of land, and we have pretty much every ecosystem. So when you drive through, you'll see the river, you'll see the grasslands. You go further, the grasslands are more, they have more moisture in those areas. And we have thick forests going towards Mount Hood. Warm Springs is absolutely massive than just the agency district, which is the small plot that they drive through.
And I think your book about Warm Springs is a really nice way to have, children connect to it and learn more about it and spark an interest. Do you have your book available in libraries, in the school libraries?
Absolutely. I do readings at the schools. It was the coolest thing ever. When I went to the K-8 Academy and I did the readings for the different classes and we gave free books to the teachers, all the little kids would go up and be like, hey, I know that place. That's my school, or that's K-8, or, that's ECE. And they would go wild. And it was a very beautiful thing. And the book itself is available at Barnes and Noble. It's down at Amazon. We sell out of it at the museum already, and I believe we have some at Tenanawad, and there's one store in Madras. It's like a coffee and magic store.
That's so fun. I love that inspiration for the next generation and for young people. And we'll put a link in so people can find your book and get it. And you have another book too. That's a coloring book, right?
Yeah, another project that kind of crossed my desk. I'm very connected with my community. I'm always with the elders, the homeless, I volunteer, I'm part of nonprofits that are out there, even for human food banks, or all the way up to like Fences for Fido and, programs like that. And so one thing that was kind of brought to me was, mental health awareness. And I felt that's very, very deep, and it was something I could really be passionate about. It kind of was like, what can I do for this section? And that's when I was like, what's therapeutic? And then I was like, what's something fun and therapeutic that everyone could do virtually? And I got the coloring book. And in this coloring book, it has like Longhouse's faces. So it's like words with the little cool patterns in the background. And it's got stuff like just jokes, Native American jokes, really, that you could color in and stuff. Like Bigfoot's my uncle, or, just funny things like that. Stuff that were Native American read it, or even people from the outside read it, they would get kind of a little taste of the, Warm Springs sense of humor, I guess.
And then from that coloring book, the proceeds go to mental health and rehabilitation programs.
I haven't really brought in the sales for it yet because it's so new. But once it does, I'd really love to pledge to find something that's in the forefront of like mental health awareness and stuff like that, and begin pledging proceeds to it. And, it's kind of funny because when I did the coffee, it kind of hit me, and it sounded a little bit corny, but I was like, we're helping serve the community and put into the community one cup of coffee at a time, or one book at a time. And it's kind of, we're increasing that with everything we add to this sort of a movement, to help out. And
I think it's very innovative that you're doing this for your community. Are there other folks that do similar types of work and give back the way you have been innovated?
I hope so. You never know. I'm sure everyone gives back in their own ways. And so for me, this is, they're passionate about something. They create a market around it to give back. And that falls in with like what they hold near to them. I'm sure there are. Unfortunately, I don't know of many right now, but I could be wrong. There could be others out there. And if they are, it's my hat's off to them, because it's going to take more than just one person. It's, a lot of people coming together to want positive change and wanting to do something in our community. We all see those kids struggling in there. We see a program struggling, or we see obstacles that our longhouses are hitting. And sometimes at one point you got to just roll your sleeves up and get the job done, which is what I'm very passionate about doing. If there's something that needs to be done, I will find a way, and I will keep beating the blocks until we find something that works. Whether it's through me starting a business every time we need to find a solution, or, starting or working with other nonprofits to make it happen.
I'm
We
always
need
happy to see as we work with different Indigenous entrepreneurs like yourself and just hearing all the amazing stories and all the work that's going on in Indian country. And I think sometimes you feel like you might be alone, and then you're like, wow, there's, so many other relatives that are doing the same thing, and and we can support each other. And you're right. I can think of so many that give in different ways. And
Absolutely.
I was thinking, coffee, what a great idea, because we all need coffee, right?
Right.
Anyways, I know I do. In this house, we need coffee. We go through a lot of coffee. I'm really excited about your coffee brand. I really like the design on your coffee.
Thank
Each
you.
one is a different design.
I hand designed those, and something that just happened recently is it's a tribal owned business, but we've officially merged with a female owned roasting business as well. So it's staying progressive and working out and developing any way we can. And that was a big thing, I think, which will be huge as we come together and try to make literally the best coffee in the world, which sounds dumb, but that was literally the first thing we said was like, we got to make this the best coffee in the world. And not only will it have a purpose, but I want people to take this, and when they do give it a shot, be like, I need this coffee. So it's exciting. It's a lot of stuff
And I
developing.
think you've laid the foundation that you need to do that because you have the mission. Your mission is to benefit your community. And so that is in place already. And you have beautiful packaging, your boxes and your bags and the name, all of that is in place. And now you can just grow your brand and make the best coffee, and all of that stuff will happen. But you have good structure and good bones in place. So I think those things will come. If people want
Thank you
to,
so much.
of course, if people want to get your coffee, how do they do it?
Right now, the best way to do it would be online. To have it manufactured, I'm trying to still, develop a chain to in-store places that I could bring the coffee to that would be willing to sell it. So it's just, I guess the next step for me is going to be networking and seeing what stores are available. Would this be a good fit for like Market of Choice or somewhere like that? And that, I think that'd be really great. Another place where we could kind of just blend in and it makes sense. We've had offers before for a couple of places, but I guess it wasn't on track with what our mission was.
The Market of Choice was looking forward to seeing you at the Winter Holiday Bazaar. So I think you could potentially just submit a sample if you're interested. Just let us know. We'll help do that.
That
I
would mean the
also,
world.
yeah, I want to ask you to tell us a story, one of your most favorite memorable stories about maybe the first person who tried your coffee, or an event that you served it at, or something that just really has set the tone for the work that you're doing with your coffee.
With my coffee, I really, outside of everything, I was like, I know people taste this, they'll like it. So I hosted, with the Get Out and Vote. I believe all of our voices are very important. And so I wanted to provide a way to get people excited. So at the ballot boxes, I was serving free coffee down there in Warm Springs, right across the street from the post office. I was like, hey, come and cast your vote, and you want to try some free coffee, come on down. And we did. We served coffee, and they got excited. They'd bring friends over. Their friends would get a vote in. I was completely neutral on everything. It's just about making sure every one of us knows that our voices are being heard at that level. So it was sort of a beautiful thing for me, watching the people come in, and I guess hearing their voices, which is also important, very important. And then, getting feedback on the coffee on top of that, it was just multiple notes was being hit for me. And a lot of them started purchasing coffee from online after that. And I was like, this is awesome. It was humbling. It was really cool.
I think that when we're able to purchase coffee or other items, we all feel like we're giving back too.
Absolutely. It's the changes that I do in the community, from buying uniforms for the sports and stuff. I always tell people it's not a me thing necessarily. It's all of us coming together to to bring change where it's needed. Every investment you make in the coffee, it's not just you buying coffee, it's really you donating into our communities and stuff. And, it's humbling just to be a small part of that. We're all essentially doing our part to make it happen. I think it's awesome.
Theo, I think you're a real inspiration to a lot of our listeners and a lot of people out there. And I really love the way that you've structured your business. I think it's really wonderful. I did want to offer, do you have a wholesale line sheet or a way to pitch to people yet?
Not yet.
Cool.
Surprisingly, the coffee's relevantly new,
Yeah.
but it has caught a lot of interest. And I was like, I definitely need to get an invoice sheet done.
Yeah. Well, I was going to offer to help you with that. So if you want to email me after the show, I can help you do a wholesale line sheet. I've had my sauce business for 15 years and the wholesale line sheet process has changed a lot over that time. But I think I can give you lots of information to get you going so that you can start your wholesale process. So just send me a message afterwards and I'll help you with yours.
That means the world. Thank you guys
Of course.
all. It's for having me on the show and for advocating for people like me and us. Super cool.
Of course. Any final questions for Theo, Sarah, and Danita?
Well, I think we should just have Theo tell us one more time what his website is and how the product is packaged and how it is shipped if we go online and buy some.
Yeah, the website would be theoperezcreations.net. Perez would be probably the tricky part to spell. It's Perez. And then for when you purchase online, you kind of just click add to cart and then purchase. As soon as you get it in, it is roasted fresh. So the coffee isn't sitting on the shelf. It's made to every order right now. So any order, we roast it, we package it, and then we send it out. Once we get into the bigger ones, we'll be on hands on deck in Bompton, Oregon. Everything's done local. Everything's done from the packaging all the way to the roasting. It's done on a small scale for larger scales.
Danita, any final thoughts you want to say?
I'm just excited about the coffee.
Thank you so much. I really want to get it in the market of choice. Like that would be so huge. Just with the direction that they're going and like with all the different products that were in there, I was like, that would be so, so cool. I think that's the one that we're kind of holding out for right now. So it's super exciting. I'm excited to see where it goes for sure.
Yeah, I also think it'll be nice to see where when you have opportunity to meet with additional buyers and share stories and because we're storytellers.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and maybe not this fancy food show, but the next fancy food show that we do. That's going to be amazing. And I'm like I said, Warm Springs is home for me and my family, and so any way we can ever support it's always good.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, you guys. It's very true, especially with our family, with where me and Danita come from, it's there's visionaries in there and there's a lot of beauty in the reservation. I wish I could fit it all in there, but I'd probably be here for hours if I started.
That's what the books are for, though, Theo. You got to keep writing the books.
Absolutely.
There's so many beautiful places in Warm Springs, and it's all those beautiful places that when you take either community member that are from, that are kiddos or kiddos that have never been there before, and to be able to show the beauty of, where maybe their classmate comes from, is, I think, it's a skill and it's a gift. And
Absolutely.
I think that when we're inspired by something or someone that we love and miss, we just keep going, keep moving forward.
Very well said. Very well said.
Well, thank you all for joining us on the show today. It was so great to hear your story, Theo, and I'm sure we'll hear more from you later.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening and tuning into the show. Before we go, show us some love for your favorite podcast by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Follow us on Instagram at Meaningful Marketplace Podcast. And if you have any questions for Sarah and I, you can text us or leave us a voicemail at 503-395-8858. And we couldn't do this without our fantastic team at Joy of Creation Production House. Thank you to Dave, our production coordinator, and Haley, our audio engineer. We will be back next week, everybody. Bye.
Bye for now.